Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser. It's Friday, Reckless Friday. It is. Reckless is back, and we are back. It feels like it's been a long, long time since we did this. For some reason, it probably has been really like this
It
is like
has
the
been,
first
yeah.
first Friday, Reckless Friday of the year. John is with us, still drinking that Curtis Kool-Aid. What's going on, John?
Good first reckless Friday of the year, so I'm pumped. Hopefully, we it lives up to its reputation, right? As reckless as it can
There is
be.
a reputation. I was not aware there is a reputation.
There
You
is a
know who has a
reputation.
reputation
Yeah.
of being late is Anan, and showing up in the last second is Anan. What's happening?
Let's go. I don't even know if I was late or I was just
Oh, you were late.
that's one way we look at it. Another way we can look at it is I was early for next week. So it really
I,
depends on how you guys
I love
see
how this could like be a Darwin analogy as well. That's like that. It's one way to look at him that he's not scoring, but then he's assisting. So there we go, right?
it. So you
Or
just
you
said
can
what I
say
wanted
Anan
to
is
say
better
today.
off the bench coming in late
Yeah.
as opposed to
You just said
starting.
what I was gonna say today with the Darwin analogy. So you guys have a great day. I'm done. Thank you.
Nah, I'm sure you got more, man. I'm sure you got more.
A lot to talk about. Sergi says, "Good to see you back." Anan, wish we could say the same about Thiago. He's practicing or something. He's doing something. I'm sure he's busy. So lot to talk about in some ways, and some of them is obviously with no games and stuff like that, and the transfer season upon us. There's a little bit of what you want to call it, rumorville action going. Are you guys shocked that there's not even rumors? Like there's really lame rumors, like really
Yeah.
trying rumors. There's nothing even semi possible. It feels like.
A little for me. Like, we kind of do our business under the table anyway, but then it's surprising that, aside from the Mbappe ones that we barely even count at this point. No, I mean, there's the one with Anthony Robinson, right? But again, not reliable. So yeah, I am kind of surprised, but then also relieved because it gets on my nerves, honestly.
It does. This is what I hate about like transfer. Like this is what I hate at the summertime, and this is what I hate normally about January. Is it because we have so many freaking games on that's like the media can't be bothered to create rumors? This will be the week where there's no game, so they're gonna go hard at it. But otherwise, there's so many pre-match, post-match, and stuff like that. They don't really have to create news.
I think this is the first season of the last few seasons where we don't need anything. So there's no room to create rumors. So it used to be midfielders. Liverpool is going to sign this guy in January. He's going to sign this guy in January. We don't need any. And the fan base isn't going to buy it. So they know that clickbait isn't going to work. I think it was just the Olise, those rumors came out
Yeah,
for a week after he scored a couple of goals and then they went away. I just don't see the need for us to sign anybody that's not a center back. And I don't even need that in January as long as it's in the summer. So we are not an interesting club to spread rumors about right now because we're just not going to generate enough clicks. Even the Mbappe rumors, everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And Liverpool fans like, "Ah, shit, here we go again." Okay, so I just don't think we're the rumor milk club right now. Now, last year, this time when we were needing midfielders, we almost signed everybody in January. We almost brought back Zidane out of retirement. So it's just a matter of what club needs it most. And right now, all the talk is Chelsea because Chelsea's struggling, Man United because Man United's struggling. But they look at us and they're like, well, they got 12 midfielders and they got 18 left wingers and 14, So yeah, they're not gonna spread rumors.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, because it's not as juicy to see, like, yeah, I guess the good point is the fan base. I don't think we're all like, how come we're not signing anybody and stuff like that. But I think we do all agree that nobody would mind the center back signing. But knowing us, John, it wouldn't be somebody like Kabak or like Davies or somebody like that. If we sign somebody, it would be somebody for the long haul. It's not that desperate to sign for the short haul.
Yeah, well, I mean, you brought back Kabak and Davies. Like, we were really desperate at that point of the year. Like, we just needed anyone. We just needed bodies. So right now, thankfully, we don't. Knock on wood, right? If you guys have anything wood there, just knock on it, please, because I don't want to be blamed for this whole thing. But yeah. Right now we're holding firm. Hopefully, a few reinforcements coming back. After this break. In the left back, Robertson, Simikas. So, but of course, a left field curveball kind of center back signing wouldn't hurt, right? To kind of ease the nerves in, because we're one Gomez injury away from a disaster. let's kind of think
Yes.
about that for a sec, right? Like,
We're honestly like any center back injury
Yeah,
away
exactly.
from a disaster in some ways. I mean, you could slide Gomez in there and make that depth 4, let's say. But that's only when one of the backs come things. There's nothing available even if you wanted them, Spike says. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I know in most cases it's a lot trickier for clubs. They don't have as much excess or depth, if you will, because of the tournaments going on. So end of the month transfer to me, especially for people who might not be available right now, like Sparky is saying, I feel like an end of the month is a lot more likely, as people are going to get their players back. I mean, a lot of the teams sent 1 or 2 players. You might think, I saw 1 or 2 guys, but it does affect your depth. So you don't want to sell your guy now and lose it. Whereas in 2 weeks, the guy's going to be the backup is back or whatever.
And another good thing going on right now is clubs will keep their eyes on the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup and see, hey, maybe somebody stands out in that tournament that doesn't really play for a big club that they can snatch. You know, somebody plays for Gambia, or somebody that's in the Asian Cup that's playing in Australia, or, you know, whatever it is. They could see somebody that stands out and they're like, okay, this is a January signing we can make. Start the communication now. Get them right after the Asian Cup or the African Cup. So that's one market they could look at right now. But if we really wanted somebody, even if no one's available, you'll get them if you pay the right price. The question is, January prices usually tend to be a little pathetic. Is Liverpool going to spend something in January for a center back, or are they just going to wait in the summer and say, you know what, let's wing it. Let's stick with what we have now. And come the summer, we'll add one marquee center back signing. And I think this is where we're going. Unless we make like a Ozan Kabak kind of signing and just get somebody on loan just for the sake of it. Like, hey, you guy, come here and never play. You know, that could be a thing.
I hope not, because that does seem pointless. I mean, if you're not going to trust the guy to go in, and really that was on, to be fair, that was mostly on Klopp at the time than anybody else to. I mean, we kept saying it over and over and over again, and he kept doing it over and over and over again. Kind of like,
and we got Nat Phillips back.
Yeah, he puts his head everywhere. I mean, yeah, let's not go there. Don't get me started first thing in the morning. It's been nice and peaceful so far. Let's go. That's right. William, they took us to the Champions League. Honestly, like, it does not fit, and right now it doesn't work. Don't go there.
Cersei's like just stroking the flames here.
Yeah, stroking the flame. Do not go there. Tried and tested in that chaos where we had to change how we play and stuff like that. It was a step above playing handle as center back. So the bar was extremely low. Really do not want to see that. I mean, I'd rather buy somebody that kind of like fits, as opposed to, you know, relying on Phillips to get faster or something like that. But okay, let's take a couple of look at a couple of the headlines over here. So this is an interesting one because we kind of like keep going back and forth on this. So this stats, John sent this one in. Anan, I don't know if you saw or not heard about it. But yeah, we do send stuff in to use in the production meetings. Okay, Liverpool have almost twice as many goal involvements from subs as any other side in the Premier League. So 15 goals, 15 assists. I don't know how many of these are Nunez. Actually, I did not look at it in the Premier League. But you have like Jota in there, probably Gakpo in there and stuff like that as well. If you gave a percentage, John, how much of this is, because this is where I'm torn at. I think we're kind of like giving too much credit to the subbing right now. We should give some credit, don't get me wrong, especially compared to the old club. But how much what is the percentage of fixing the wrong 11 as opposed to putting in actual like subs to make an impact and maybe changing things?
That's a good question. I'd probably say 60-40. 60 being like he got it wrong. 40 being that he actually genuinely brought someone to make an impact. But you know what? Either way, that's what they're there for, right? Which is to change the game. So you can't really be too salty about it. And again, we're top of the table. We're in the semifinal of a competition, and we're favorites for the Europa League. So whatever you feel about how Klopp sets up the team, obviously everyone has their own gripes at the start of the game. But most of the time this year it's worked out, so I can't really be too annoyed about it. It's just that I'm really happy that the fact that we have some legit game changers there, especially when everyone is healthy. There was a point this year when everyone was healthy and I saw our bench, I was like, holy, like it's arguably better than the bench that we had when we were going for the quad. And that's impressive because when we were going for the quad, there was a point where Keita was healthy, Thiago was healthy, Oxlade-Chamberlain was healthy, and that was very rare.
The Bermuda Triangle,
right. It was like a sign of the apocalypse coming, right? It was so rare. It's like a shooting star that you just see. So like it doesn't happen often, and it felt really good. But thankfully, right now, these guys, although there are some people going down, this break comes in at the right time so we can get back these guys, get back these players that can help us out when we're in moments where nothing's really going on. And yeah, it's really a great dilemma, I guess, to have if you're Jurgen Klopp, maybe.
What do you put those percentages on? I'm sure you have those moments from the calendar cutouts, like put on your wall where like Thiago was healthy. Do you remember? You're like, oh.
Like cross-field pass.
So those hips.
With hips don't lie. So those numbers are it's mainly we started off with the wrong lineup, or we started off with a lineup to try things, and then it was just like, okay, now we need to win. I mean, I'm pretty sure out of those 15 assists, 7 go to Darwin. And I'm not using that to bring Darwin in. It's just using it to say he is making a big difference when he's coming down as a sub. And we can see it in the numbers. He's created, like, I mean, just a couple days ago against Fulham, he came on minute 56. By minute 80, he had 2 assists. And it's because he's coming in with that desperation to, okay, I got to do something. And it's okay. Instead of just taking the ball and running dead down, I'm just going to make the pass and get those assists. So good numbers to have. But, the devil's advocate would say, well, but if we started with the right lineup, we'd have those from the starting 11. So it's really, wow, it's so special. But really, it's one of those stats that you're like, oh, cool, next.
Yeah, I put it as a 50-50 because there are times. I mean, you look at this last game. Fulham game is a great example. I think from the get-go, when we saw Elliott as right wing, we're like, we just did this and it didn't work. And for it to work, we had to make subs. So I guess we'll wait till the subs kind of a thing. And that's what basically ended up happening. So here's a good discussion right here. Football Flashback says, do you guys think Curtis is our best midfielder right now? 6 goal contributions in his last 9 games for us. Seems a lot higher, doesn't it? And honestly, with him, even with not the goal contributions and stuff like that, John, but it's more about what he does, like what he does to create openings, his movements, his press, and everything else he does that does not show up in the stats. I hate looking at the stats and giving somebody credit because, I mean, like, when we talk about Nunez, sometimes we make fun of Onan all the time, but a lot of the runs he makes and the spaces he creates, that's not a stat. It does not show up, but it helps the game. And like sometimes people give a lot of crap. So he didn't do anything. His presence at times takes 2 guys away, enabling the other guy to have space and stuff like that. I feel like Curtis is kind of like that. He does a lot of stuff off the ball, or even when he's on the ball in terms of just cycling and stuff like that. I agree that he's probably our most productive and effective, maybe productive is not the word, but the effective midfielder right now.
Yeah, 3 months ago, I would have scoffed at that. But right now, like in terms of Curtis, what really impressed me the most this year about him was his discipline. Like before, discipline and Curtis, they don't go together. You're just like, Curtis and discipline, oh dear, what universe are we living in? Like, this is the guy who'd take 3 guys in at the edge of his box and lose the ball and we concede a goal. Right now, though, he's just so smart that he knows when to actually make those moves, which is when he's probably leading an attack, to whether to cycle the ball or whether to just pass it back to the keeper to keep things flowing. Like, it's such an improvement. And yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't think it's far-fetched. It's the truth right now. He's our best midfielder in terms of, knowing the system. Like, I know Anan kind of raised his head there because I do think that when Thiago is healthy, he might give him a run for his money.
For sakes. Out of people alive, Curtis is our best midfielder. How about let's go with that?
Out of people alive, yes. Like, for people who are available who can actually play, yes, he is our best midfielder right now. And I think he's arguably the first name on the team sheet at this point.
And I don't even think we're talking like skill-wise. Obviously, like with experience and skill set-wise, I mean, Thiago is better. Szoboszlai is better.
Because he's not playing. I'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back. Steve says Jones keeps possession well too, very important.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, in all honesty, it is like what he does regularly that doesn't show up, even if he's not the best midfielder we have. That's why I feel like, but he's like the most useful and effective midfielder on that.
Yeah. So you guys will get your first reckless card today.
Okay,
Because, you're saying Jones is our best midfielder.
sure. Like, what?
Here's
And he's like this. Like,
he could get a second for dissent over here. What?
so that is a reckless statement. Now here's what I'll say: Jones is our most informed midfielder right now. I'll take that. He's our most informed midfielder right now. But player for player, skill for skill, talent for talent on that team, the best midfielder we currently have that's playing football, forget he's been injured for a week or so, is Dominic Szoboszlai. That is our best. Like, you give me both of these guys with Dom's form down and Jones with the form that he's in now. I want Dom the first person on that sheet.
What?
He's my first name on that team sheet.
That is reckless.
That is not reckless. Now listen,
that's
our most informed player right now, outside of Darwin, is Jones. Jones is our most informed player. He's improved significantly. He has that potential to be that maybe best midfielder if this continues. But what we've seen with Jones is he has good few games. He has a bad game. Everybody complains. Good games, bad game. Everybody complains, and everybody starts saying, "Oh well, if he was not a Scouser, he wouldn't even be on the team." And then 2 weeks later, if we bought Jones this transfer window, we would be so happy because he's the best. So he's one of those inconsistent guys. I like him. He's been playing very well. I just wouldn't say he's our best midfielder in that team just yet. And it's
I would buy this explanation maybe 3 months ago.
probably.
But I think over the last 12 months,
over the last 2 weeks.
been your what?
Over the last 2 weeks, he's
Since
been.
No. Over
be
the
fair,
last
Anon,
12 months,
since
I
we
would
switched
say
to the-
he's the
yeah.
most. Ever since he came back, right, John? At the end of the last season,
Since
where
we
he
switched
got
to
a
the-
spell, ever
Since we
since
switched-
then, he's been the most consistent midfielder. And I think it's a crime that's. I don't know what you think, John, but that he would start Szoboszlai right now, who has not done anything in the last month and a half, at least. So you're just basically going off of A, price tag, B, skill sets, but skill
It's
set
skill
does
set.
not always produce
Forget price tag, 'cause
results.
Also,
be-
if it's a crime,
to
then
be fair-
lock me up because I'm sticking to it.
To be fair, both of them are like Szoboszlai and Jones. They're asked to do completely different things for their roles.
Are they?
Well, Jones is more to recycle, while Szoboszlai is asked to more overlap and create. If that makes sense, you don't see Jones overlapping as much as Szoboszlai would and driving forward with the ball, taking those shots. If we're
See,
being
I don't buy that. I honestly don't buy that. I don't think they're like, hey, you win balls on cycle, you attack. I don't think those are the directions given. I think
I'm
Jones know how to play within the system.
I'm kind of making an analogy here because I see Jones more of that Wijnaldum. If you remember our best team, Wijnaldum didn't really attack unless we were going all out, whereas Hendo always made those overlapping runs to make space for Salah and Trent. Right? We rarely saw Genie make those runs, so I'm kind of seeing Jones, and he is on that left side too, right? Where Wijnaldum used to be. So, I mean, it's obviously just an on-the-nose comparison. I could be wrong, and obviously there'll be more games to see if this is like an accurate comparison, but I do feel like they're being asked to do two completely different things to like say with confidence that one is better than the other. But again,
I'll repeat, Jones is the most informed right now because, I mean, Szoboszlai and McAllister were both overused. They're exhausted. They're week in, week out. That their performance is going to go down. Jones is our most informed player, but I wouldn't call him the best midfielder that we have. I like the kid. He's talented. He's good. He's actually, again, our most informed player right now, but not enough.
I think that's what he means when he says best midfielder. I don't think when we say best midfielder, we're saying, like I say, I'm assuming, I don't want to speak on behalf of Football Flashback. I'm assuming he's referring to being the most influential. Let's go that way. Like in terms of being effective, by far, you have to put Curtis there on.
Yes, and I agree for the past few weeks. Not our best player of the season, our best midfielder Yeah, because I saw somebody say he's been our best player since March.
Yes, I
Since
agree.
we switched to the double pivot and on, he's been quite good.
Since March? I mean,
since when he came back and he had that run of games, I think it was March.
Was it against City that he had one of like the worst games we've ever seen? Few weeks ago. This was just a few weeks ago against City. Everybody was like, take him out. He needs to leave the pitch. He's so horrible.
Well, okay, that's because whenever something goes wrong, nobody picks Sob. I mean, if people were really fair, they would have yanked Szoboszlai by the 15th minute every goddamn game.
And that's not how getting beat up. That was the game.
That's not how. So when he sucks, he's beat up. When Curtis doesn't play well, he's not good enough.
I think Curtis is good enough. I just don't think he's good enough to be called our best midfielder when we have that roster of talent.
Let's go Reckless Fridays. Let me just say, I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
And listen, I like Jones. You guys remember a few months ago, I was like, this guy needs to get a run of games. He's been playing well. We shouldn't bench him just because we signed new players. We had this conversation.
I agree with Ryan over here. He has been consistent. He has been the most consistent. Not everybody is going to play a great game, but there are certain players, because there are people like Sparky out there that, when things are not going well, they focus on one guy and somehow he gets the blame. When something goes wrong in the back, it's never Van Dijk. It's always, where the hell is Gomez? Yeah, that's right. That's his fault.
Could we agree that he's probably our best midfielder within the framework of our current system?
With our most informed midfielder, yes.
Okay, which means our best midfielder right now. Just say it. Just freaking say it.
He's just a better complete player than all the rest. And I disagree with that. I don't think he's the best. I think he's the most informed.
Well, that's why I said within the system. I think.
Yeah, he's the most.
Like I say, I don't think Football Flashback is saying like he's the best. When we put him to a skill test, he's going to beat everybody, which he will compete. I think some of his like technical abilities are underlooked.
But look at it this way: talent for talent. Just knowing the guys that we have, you have a choice of 3 midfielders. You're going in the Champions League final, whatever it is, and all these players are in their top form, their best form ever. Like they're like on fire. Would you? And you can only start one. Would you start Jones, Szoboszlai, or McAllister? You can only start one in that position. The other 2 positions.
Jones' position.
In the midfield.
We talking now?
We're talking whenever. It doesn't matter.
Such a bad hypothetical, but let's go with it.
With everybody on top, tip-top shape, in form, the best players in the world right now.
So I'm going to pull a Bickler over here. Who else is in midfield already that we only have one choice left?
It doesn't matter. Thiago's there.
Thiago, who's the third one?
So it doesn't matter. You're basing your game based on that one guy you're picking who's in top form. Right now, would you take Szoboszlai? Would you take McAllister? Would you take Jones? Out of those 3?
I go with this question from DC. What is Dom's or Mac's best form? Have we seen it yet?
Yeah.
When the season started, we were talking about if Szoboszlai keeps this going, he's going to get the Ballon d'Or. We were just talking about that at the beginning of the season when he was on fire. Mac,
that was Chris making those rumors.
It was talked about everywhere. Everybody was like, "Wow, signing of the season." Bleacher Report's like, "Oh my God, Liverpool just signed the best player ever." But again, in top form, so Jones at the moment, this is Brian Chaz, but this is their top form of their career. These guys are on fire. Oof. Who would you start?
It's difficult because this is going to be in the context of the Liverpool system.
Well,
right.
Well, we're basing our midfield based on who we choose first, that first name. Like in their top shape, who would you start up top, Gakpo or Nunez to get some goals? Nunez, because we know his top is that.
Okay, so but I mean that's just such a ridiculous analogy in terms of saying.
Just answer it.
Anand, I would still go.
I mean, for the system, I would say Jones. I'll be honest, because I don't even know what the framework of the system best form is.
So you're telling me in their best shape, you would take Jones over Szoboszlai,
right? Because we're playing Klopp's system, Anand.
Yes. I know what we're gonna get.
Because we don't know how good Szoboszlai could be in the system yet. He started well, but then he kind of went down, if that makes sense, right? Like
yes, it makes sense. This is what Jones does every 4 games. I understand it completely. But it makes, like, you're telling me that you would take This is Reckless Friday.
This is Reckless Friday because, first of all, your hypothetical is so weird because there's no other midfielder. We're putting one guy on an island.
No.
I don't know who else is playing to pick the third guy.
You're basing your system around this midfielder that you choose.
Oh, okay. So we're basing a new system.
Yes.
We're disregarding Klopp's system entirely.
Final.
Okay.
And you have all your team is in form, and you're basing your system based on the best performance of one midfielder. It's
not even a football manager analogy,
My first name is Szoboszlai.
Well, if given that context, yeah, Szoboszlai, because we're talking about making an entirely new system based on one player.
That's what I'm saying.
But then
so you go into the final, and once you get to the final, you're like, you know what? Fuck my brothers here. We're changing the system. We're gonna play against Szoboszlai in the final.
Yes.
That's reckless.
You guys done that before, by the way. But no, the hypothetical is if you can choose one player to base your team around in your midfield, who would it be?
Okay, in the long run, I mean, going back to what John is saying, yeah, if you're just sitting down in the beginning of the season and you're like, hey, we need a cornerstone of the midfield, we'll build the rest around it. Yeah, you could get more off of potential, you might say, Szoboszlai. But looking at this season's work, and picking Szoboszlai over Jones makes zero sense to me.
Based on current form, yes. And that's it. It's yes, he's the most informed midfielder.
That's the only thing you can go by. You can't be like, oh, in one day he's gonna be then start Bradley.
I wouldn't
because he plays so good. He's in peak form. Just start Bradley over Trent because he's in form.
Isn't that what we're doing with Nunez? We know Jurgen knows he's going to be that guy, so he's just going to.
That's why I keep saying we shouldn't. That's the difference. Okay, here's more freaking proof for you because Szoboszlai actually was leading in this category, but now Harvey Elliott is at 13.2 kilometers, which is probably the distance I covered in 90 days, leave alone 90 minutes, more than any other Liverpool player. Curtis Jones is next with 12.6. Did that help your decision maker at one point?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought Szoboszlai was actually topping the charts on this. Apparently not anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, he's very informed. He's doing everything right. I am not against the guy. You guys
Word of the day.
You guys are making it seem like oh my God, kill Jones. No. He's doing well. And I like what he's doing. And it makes me so happy to see this kid grow into this completely different guy. Just like Jones said, 2 years ago, he gets the ball. He wants to Zidane his situation with everybody.
Yeah.
Now he's understanding what's demanded of him. So I respect everything he's doing. He's in form. He's doing very well. He's my first name on the team sheet if we have a game tomorrow. But I wouldn't say he's the best midfielder. Damn, Xabi Alonso's here.
I mean, to be fair, the fact that we're putting Jones in the same bracket as like a Szoboszlai or McAllister means that it's a massive improvement from it.
Absolutely.
Right. So
okay, here's what I'm going with though. So if Jones, according to your math, and this is where it falls apart for me, if Jones did what Szoboszlai did this season, where he sparked for like 4 games and then kind of became shit. I mean, let's face it, he has been really, really poor. He has not been he's only average now. He's not as great as he was. He's been poor, right? If Jones did it, you'd be like, yeah, because that's Jones. He's going to play for like 3-4 good games, then he's going to disappear. But because of Szoboszlai, we know the potential. It kind of like biases it and says like, oh, no, this is just a dip in form. His greatness was the regular. We don't necessarily know that, do we? You know what I mean?
I think
hope that's dip
in form. I think Dom's dip in form is disappointing. And I feel like he was overused, overplayed, and I just feel like he was put into a system and he's just like, okay, figure it out. This is a whole new system, and you've got a number 6 behind you that's not even a number 6. He actually likes to, attack and shoot the ball, but deal with it. So he's playing in a role where he likes to go forward, but he's like, oh shit, now I need to come back and cover because this guy is that's not his role. And this high pressure football, isn't something he's used to. So the guy form went down, and it's understandable. Is it disappointing? Yes. Do I think he's going to get back to his top? Absolutely. When it comes to Jones, we've seen Jones go through all of it. We've seen him be shit, be good, shit, good, disappointing, angry, and all that. So I don't think that I'm valuing Dom just because of his price tag or because of bias. I just think I look at total skill set and I put it at that. Listen, if Jones continues his form and he doesn't dip and he continues to do what he's doing, listen, yeah, I'll say it. He's our best midfielder. But I'm not going to base it based on the last few games just because all that change happened.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for reminding me. So sorry, Anna.
Oh my god, I forgot about this dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody forgot
easy to
about
forget.
this dude.
Yeah, you might as well at this point.
And this is Brian. I agree with Brian. And Dom's issue is continue trying to force plays. I just don't understand the logic behind Jones dips up and down in form, and that's his downfall because you've seen him longer. And then
absolutely.
has dipped into the abyss of form, but that's okay. Even though we've only seen him for like 2 months, 3 months maybe, and 2 months has been out of form. Like he's been in form probably the first 2 months of the season. Then the last 2 months, I would say he's got. By the way, speaking of Szoboszlai and Szoboszlai news, sounding like he's not even going to be back for the Bournemouth game. So let's go back to based on that. Let's go back to this.
Sorry, before we go, Tim. Before we go there, Tim. Fucking Curtis Jones is only 22. I can't believe it. Like,
yes,
right? It feels like we've been seeing him for 18 years.
Yeah, exactly. He's only 22. What? Like, he has such a future ahead of him. Before we go, just wow.
You know,
let me ask you this then. Okay. Wait. I think I got reckless over here. I got reckless put away over here for good now, John. Okay. If we sign both of them in the summer, okay, one is Joãozinho, the other one is Szoboszlai or Dino, whatever, 2 Brazilian dudes. Right now, which one would you pick in your ultimate scenario?
At top shape.
Based on what you saw over the last 4 months, these 2 guys just came in. You never heard of them before. They were playing for Sao Paulo or some shit in Brazil. You never watched them before. They show up. They play what they played so far in over the last 4 months. Which midfielder are you picking first? Based on what you saw in the last 4 months.
Sure, that's a good question. Based on the way the season started, it would have been Szoboszlai.
Wait, it's been 4 months now. We're not going by the first week.
So
it's been 4 months. I'm asking you today.
So for 2.5 months, it's Szoboszlai. For a month and a half, Jones.
Okay, once again, it's been 4 months. Don't change the freaking question. Don't put Bickler on me. Don't change. You're starting Szoboszlai. See, you're biased.
Szoboszlai.
That's a good chant, by the way. Like
I
any
wouldn't be
Liverpool
surprised
fans,
to see Jones in the English national squad this summer.
If he doesn't make it, it's criminal. If he doesn't make it to the Euros, it's criminal.
Which means he probably won't make it. Okay, let's go back to football flashback over here. Harvey, I think we talked about this, right? He does not work as a right back. So I guess my question to you guys is, I think the next game we play is the Bournemouth game, correct?
Yes.
Who is starting right wing?
Diaz all day long for me.
Diaz
for you, but who do you think Klopp is starting, John? I'm sorry, I should have asked that.
I think he goes Gakpo. I think he goes Gakpo. And Gakpo was decent at right wing, mind you, when he came in against Fulham. Let me just say Fulham gave us probably 2 of our toughest games this year in the league and in the League Cup there, although we didn't do ourselves any favors with Van Dijk shooting us in the foot there. But still, they gave us 2 pretty tough games. So, yeah, I would say Gakpo realistically, but I want Lucho. I want Diaz. Yeah,
Ryan says I say Diaz, but Club will play Gakpo. How about you, Anan? Who are you pulling? Like, who's your starting like front 3 now with Mo gone?
Gakpo, Nunez, and Darwin.
No Jota in there.
No Jota in there. I would, you guys always like the idea of Nunez coming in and causing chaos and all that. I like that for Jota more. Because we actually get results from it. When Nunez is like, oh yeah, go get some chaos. Like, it doesn't always work, and I'm like Nunez is like bestie. But like you put Jota in minute 70 or 60 or 40 or 80, something happens, and it looks so awkward because the way he runs. But something happens, so I'd rather use Jota as that come off the bench when I need you to change this game versus start him from the beginning, and then we get extremely stressed out when he holds on for the ball too long. So I like the Jota idea coming off the bench, and this is not Nunez bias because if Jota was actually doing everything for 90 minutes, I take him over Nunez because I know he's always going to give you goals. But now I'll put Nunez on the left, put Gakpo in the middle, I put Diaz on the right, and I would use those 2 to feed Diaz, and they can just kind of rotate, kind of like what Salah and Mane used to do.
I like that. And honestly, I kind of agree with Sir Z normally. The problem with Gakpo behind the front 3 right now is you have nobody on the bench. And I think in an ideal scenario, I almost feel like that's what he would rather do. I think he would rather start Gakpo there instead of Gravenberg, your boy there, John, But the issue is
Let's
when
talk
you
about
do that, now you have nobody. With Mo being gone, you're basically starting anybody and everybody. You have no way to impact the front. That's why I kind of go back to what Anan is saying too. One of them has to stay on the bench so that you can make a change.
Yeah, I see the argument with Jota. I see the argument with Gravenberg. Still in my head.
No argument there.
Yeah,
There's no argument.
yeah, there's no argument. There's no argument with Gravenberg at this point. Yeah, I think Gakpo is wasted in the midfield. Honestly, I think he starts either position in the front three to maximize him, and I do like him coming off the bench a little bit more than starting. I would actually go with Jota in the middle, Nunez left wing, and Diaz on the right. I know what Anand's saying, that Jota is just a production machine. He just gets an assist or a goal automatically. Like, you might as well just put it on the stat sheet at this point because it's a guarantee. But I feel like he is also at this point with Mogon, he also leads our front three. He organizes the press.
Yeah.
He tells people where to go. And I feel like if you have, let's say, a Gakpo or a Nunez or a Diaz all together there, I feel like they're lacking that cheekiness that Jota has. Like, they're very direct players. They're very physical players who use their physical gifts more than their brain. Like, Gakpo's an intelligent player, but not as smart as Jota. I think he has to be there to kind of be the fulcrum of that front three. I don't want to make comparisons here, but to be the Bobby of that front three, like to make that right pass or to make that right decision with the ball, to cycle it out or to force a pass in. I just rate Jota that highly, that I feel, like I mentioned in the post-match last game, I think he's our best attacker after Mo Salah, and his all-around game, especially this year, has improved so much. That's why I feel like he has to be on the pitch at all times, especially with Mo gone.
That's right. Sparky says, I like to see Elliott top right, but we don't have enough fit midfielders available. I couldn't disagree more. We've seen him top right 2 times in a row, and we had to fix it because I just don't think I would rather have, going back to what Football Flashback saying, I would rather have Elliott in midfield, and anybody can be top right, I think.
Yeah,
except Elliott. He just does. That's not his skill set. It reminds me of when we tried to force Curtis to play left wing due to lack of options, and then people were like talking smack about him. Probably people like Anan over here. But he was playing like ridiculous, and it's one thing to play out of position, right? Sometimes, you know, Gomez is playing out of position, but when it goes totally against your skill sets, like you don't have that top speed for a winger and stuff like that, you're setting up yourself to fail. And speaking of setting up to fail, Anan, I want to ask John this because he'll start probably crying and won't be able to hold back his tears. But Gravenberg, like last game especially, or when he started, is it, you know, due to the fact that, you know, he does have Elliott playing right wing and he does have the young kid playing at right back, but even when he played on the left, is he just trying too hard or just not used to the system? What's the issue there?
John, do you want to talk about this?
No, I'm fine.
You want to talk?
I can talk about it. I can cope. I've already gotten over it.
I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on this because you're not gonna like mine.
Yeah. I've already shed tears over the last 2 days. It's gone. I've gotten over it. Like, you know, when you fail a test and then you have like 2 days to get over it. That's me with Gravenberg. No, I don't think that makes any difference, Tim. Elliott is not telling him to take 3 people all at once. Instead of cycling the ball. Elliott is not telling him to freaking grab the ball with his hands before it's even out of play. Elliott is not telling him to force a pass. That's all on him. And I think it was Kazi who said it best. Like, he's got the physical traits. He's tall. He's lanky. The way he shields the ball is really, like, I don't think any of our midfielders do it like he does. Maybe McAllister. Right, but he just doesn't have a fixed position in this team. He started at the right side and he looked awful there. He was mostly played on the left side and he looked awful there. So at this point, where does he go? And Maka said it best in the post match: a player in desperate need of a preseason. And I think so massively. Like, for him to discover where he's going to be, how he's going to fit in this team, he needs this short break in Dubai, and he needs that long preseason before the season starts, before we can fully integrate him and say that he's a nailed-on starter. Like, in FIFA, he looks good, right? But everyone looks good in FIFA.
So do I when I created my own
player. Right, exactly. Like, my top scorer is Nunez, for God's sake. So, like, you know,
to be fair, he has the top speeds
exactly.
in FIFA. But I don't think I have Gravenberg in my starting 11, for example.
Right, exactly.
The reserves,
sorry, go ahead.
No, so with the G, I'm gonna say this. As of now, he's not good enough for Liverpool yet. As of now.
Fair.
Now, do I think I believe Tim just said that? Does he get a preseason in and get, understand the system, understand the way we play, and try to get to the pace of the team? I think he can be good. But Bayern wouldn't let go of a guy so easily after a season if they saw the potential in him. We're talking about an academy. Bayern buys a young player and they turn him into a superstar if they see that potential. And the fact that they let go Ryan this easily just tells me that they didn't see the end product that they were looking for. Can we get the end product? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Are we there yet? No. Can we use him in the can't you really use him in the League Cup anymore in the FA Cup because we're starting to get far. But yeah, he could be a sub that you get on in the last 5-10 minutes if you got like a 4-0 up or like a 3-0 and you're like, you know what, go get a couple of minutes until we get to the next training session. But as of now, he showed, flashes of brilliance, but then he's now trying too hard to keep showing flashes of brilliance.
Yeah.
And it's backfiring on him. So he is the last midfielder I'd pick on that superstar team that I was talking about earlier, where I'm going to pick Szoboszlai and then, the rest of the guys. He's the last name on my.
Even if he's peak form?
At his peak form, I worry he tries to dribble too much. So but
if he's in peak form, he'll be getting past those three people. See,
okay. Now, so you're thinking
that's why that hypothetical made no sense. Is what I was trying to show.
Superpowers, and that's very different thing. But no, he's just not good enough as of now.
So Sergi says, which I agree with, by the way, Mac Elliott and Jones for that midfield, and that by itself says a lot there, John. Where with all these people missing, if we're still not picking Gravenberch, but I do feel like he's not that bad, like where we're putting him in only when we're up 4-0, like you're putting Cade Gordon in there. I still think there'll be some games where he comes off the bench and makes an impact. The only thing I worry is he's already trying to do too much.
Yes.
When he comes off the bench, is he going to try even harder knowing he's coming off the bench and he has 15 minutes to show stuff? Or he's going to be kind of like told, similar to what we did with Nunez last year, really, right? Like your time is going to come. Go out there and do your thing. Eventually, your opportunity is going to come. Yes. And honestly, if he looks at our history of injuries, he will know his time is going to come. So we kind of assume right now, right? Like we won't see him starting for some time unless it's a Europa game or like a league, like a FA Cup game in the next round or something like that against Bristol Rovers or whatever. But which guy do you think we'll see coming off the bench? He's your boy. Talk to him.
You're asking who do I think comes off the bench against?
No, which Gravenberch do we get? Do we get the same guy that's trying even harder, or do we get a guy that made impact the first couple of games when he first came in and came off the bench?
Yeah, I know there's like a recency bias here. We're all over it with like Jones and like form and everything, like the last few games and all that. So if we're basing it purely off of form, he looks like a player that has no confidence whatsoever. Yeah. Like he had that good cameo against Arsenal in the cup where he won the foul that led to the goal. But other than that, I can't really think of any Gravenberch standout moments. Like I feel like in terms of situationals, he can still be useful. Like if we're chasing a game, like we could have him, carry that ball and drive forward. But like 90% of the time, 90% of our games in the league, 90% of our games in the cup competitions we're in, we're going to be facing a low block and or a mid block, and he's not that player. So starting is out of the question unless, like you said, it's either a rotation job or a meaningless game. So in terms of how he's going to come out of the bench, it's tough, Tim. And I don't want to be negative, but I'm just basing it on hard. I'm just basing it on hard, concrete evidence. He looks like a player that's out of confidence. So I'm going to go slightly with the Gravenberch that tries too much, unfortunately.
Wait, Ryan is loaning. Okay, now you guys are really overreacting. Okay, leave the poor kid alone. Let's bear in mind that he literally walked in on the last minute of the transfer window.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Like, you just like literally as the door was closing, he was like, "Excuse me," like jumping on the elevator. He just came in then. So he hasn't had any preseason, like not even a short preseason. He hasn't had any preseason. I almost feel like, people said the same thing about Jones before. if he shows the growth, because he's really young still. So if he
Yeah.
shows that growth and maturity of learning the system, understanding I think the biggest difference, for example, when you look at Jones from a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago to now, is he understands the value of the ball, value of possession a lot more. So he doesn't do those tricks and stuff into two guys just in case it happens, or he doesn't try to curl that Everton goal that he scored once 85 times a game. He kind of like cycles. I know like people like Sparky don't appreciate that, but that possession builds pressure over time against the defense. I feel like Gravenberch on is kind of like reminds me of that old Jones, where he almost like tries to create too hard and sometimes doesn't just say, you know what, I'll just pass it to Van Dijk. We'll cycle it back and see what happens come from the other side.
Yeah, and I think he's just that faster decision making away from being the player that we're looking for. So I'm not too worried that, oh my God, loan him and never bring him back. And no, give him a preseason. Let him finish this season. See how he grows into the team with the training sessions and everything the club is doing. Give him a preseason with the team. And then from there, you start to judge this kid. But as of now, his age, his lack of Premier League experience. I mean, Premier League isn't easy to come into and just like cement your name. I mean, look, Szoboszlai came in so strong and then his form went down. I mean, this is normal. This is a new league to these guys. So I'm not too worried that we made a mistake. I still see the potential. I just now don't think he's good enough. Doesn't mean he won't be good enough in a year, because a few years ago we said Jones isn't good enough. We said Elliott isn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We've said all these things about the younger players, but then they fill those shoes. They grow into those positions and they become the go-to guys, enough for us to be crazy enough and say one of them is our best midfielder now. So we'll get there. I'm not too worried about Gravenberch. I just think he needs time.
Yeah, I really think he's still going to become off the bench in a couple of games and make like a huge impact. And we're gonna be like, see, this kid has potential. Damn it, Ryan, we should have never loaned him or something like that.
Yeah.
I still think he makes an impact coming in a couple of games because he's that kind of player. You can see the quality there. Just gotta give him some time. This is why like sometimes we give certain guys too much time, like Nunez, or we give him like no time. It feels like that has to be a fine balance.
Yeah.
Football Flashback says, thank you for doing these daily streams. You always put a smile on my face. Yes, once you hear Anand's takes, it's impossible not to just crack up.
And
we all crack up.
Seeing Football Flashbacks in his bets kind of give us smiles as well, to be fair. Like, we're like,
yes.
Oh, this guy has guts. This guy has guts.
This guy has guts and more and more limited funds, probably. Okay, real quick, not to toot freaking Anand's horn any, because God knows that's the last thing we need over here. But let's get to some non-LFC Newcastle news. So Newcastle, except they may have to sell one of their best players this summer as they strive to remain on the right side of the Premier League's profit and sustainability regulations. I assume the Champions League exit over there on really hurt them. But instead of selling a guy like they're talking about, like Guimaraes or like Isak and stuff like that, do you think this is just a cover and then we kind of get like Callum Wilson is going to Saudi Arabia for 80 million or something crazy like that to balance the books? Is it just a cover, or are they really in trouble?
I know where Anand's gonna segue to, by the way.
So let's start by saying Eddie Howe, what a guy.
He's not even the manager. It's the guy next to him. I don't think Eddie Howe knows anything.
Or Tendall, whatever that guy's name is. No, I actually think that they will. I think they thought they would make money faster than this. They thought, put the Saudi money involved in this, buy a couple of big names that aren't so big to say, look, we're not like Qatar. We didn't buy Mbappe and Neymar. We bought this guy and that guy. And haha, it backfired. They need to balance the books, but I think this is because they need they're going to go ham this summer, and they don't want the FFP to look at them financial fair play. So they're going to sell to make it seem like the books are balanced. See, we're not going crazy. You can't charge us with anything. We actually sold some players, and you're absolutely right. We could see one of their expired players going to Saudi for 372 billion, just to be like, hey, wow, Saudi club buy player. But yeah, what they're doing is they're trying to. I don't know why the regular sources are talking about the Arabs in an Arab accent, but that's a different story. Go ahead. You're going to see them do this to look at financial fair play and say, see, we sold. We're not just buying. And listen, Newcastle are gonna sack their manager soon, and they're gonna start all over again, and they're gonna be looking at. And I'm very, very okay. I'm not sure about this, but I hear this from very close sources that they're gonna pursue the shit out of Mourinho. They're gonna try to get him out of Roma at any cost to
I mean, is
rebuild.
that like really a high cost to get Mourinho out of Roma, mind you?
I think because Roma's trying to extend him for 2 more seasons, and there's money on the table there, but they're gonna try to push for Mourinho and rebuild a brand for this club because they tried it this time and it didn't work. They tried so hard and they ended up getting a manager that doesn't even go to work. His assistant goes to work. So this Newcastle team is going to be in turmoil soon. I know they were very excited at first, but it's a wrap. It's done. There's no potential for them until this offseason when they start their flips, and you're going to see crazy signings for that Newcastle team. They're going to spend crazy money. They're trying to make a statement.
Yeah, as you say that, I'm trying to think of that team, and it does kind of work with the Mourinho park the bus counter system, right, John? I mean, I can see that, but do you think this is just a cover, or are they really? I mean, I know, like I say, the lack of Champions League and Europe altogether probably did hurt the books that they did not count on.
We'll see. Like, I have no faith in these guys, the people who run them, the organizations who are supposed to be monitoring this kind of shit, because like I said, not to make it about them, but there's a certain team out there, right, who has 115 charges. I know, completely unrelated, right? But if we're talking about the integrity of the league as a whole, come on, man. Like, okay, if they sell someone, well and good, right? You know, maybe they're trying to balance out their books. Maybe they're trying to play it honest. Fine. But I always just can't help but look the other way at that team wearing sky blue, man. Like, call them living rent-free in my head. They are. They cost us like 3 titles, man. Like, it's not hard to let that go. So if you're having one team observe these rules, and again, if Newcastle do it, fine, fair play to them. They're trying at least give the image that they're complying.
It's just the image,
yeah. At least trying. But then, you know, there's a certain team there who, you know, has been dodging, like, he's better at dribbling the ball than freaking Mbappe, dodging all those defenders, dodging all those allegations. So please, some consistency.
One thing we're going to see this summer is all those players that already hate the Saudi league making a move to Newcastle. You're going to see Ruben Neves in Newcastle. You can see Brozovic in Newcastle. You
Jordan
can see Henderson in Newcastle. I mean, like I'm on this, you know, I read a lot of like the Arabic sports, you know, reporters and all that. About 85% of them are full of shit, but they're reporting so much on players talking to their clubs in the Saudi league, some big name players that aren't even being released, that they want to leave. They're just not happy, not comfortable. And the response to them is, well, would you play for Newcastle? Would you want to move to the Premier League? And what they want to do is now send some players to the Premier League, buy more players that are desperate for cash for next season's off-season crazy news and breaking news. And then in 6 months, they're going to want out. This is, as I remember I told you guys this a few months ago, this league is done. And now Newcastle benefits because it's owned exactly by the same people. The Saudi investment fund, send me a player here, I'll send you one there, and let's keep the ball, you know, let's keep it revolving to keep us in the news.
The 400 strong stand became like 350 now. So
yeah.
It's too hot. They left. By the way, I just got a text that says, "Hi, it's Xfinity Assistant. Winter weather and power outages in your home or area may impact your service. So before this internet goes out, let's wrap the show up already because they're doing some foreshadowing."
Back like 25 minutes before hopping on. Well, we got power. We had no power. And then I was like, oh my God, thank God. So yeah, it's supposed to be really shitty snowstorms. So yeah.
Yeah, because we already got, I mean, I woke up and then I was like, holy cow, we got like a lot of snow.
I'm looking at the weather as we speak because I was like, damn, did I miss something?
So two important things to bring up before we go. Nunez doing really well playing the ball. He's making faster decisions. I love it. Thiago comes back within the next couple of weeks. He's training. He's solo training. His hips are okay. They are no longer lying. We are expected to be at full power at the end of AFCON and the end of the Asian Cup. We're going to have every single player fit. And dude, once Thiago's back, we are winning. We're going to win freaking La Liga, bro. We're going to win we're not even in the
yeah. Maybe before your internet goes out. Hold on.
Tim, you said you were doing
this weekend. The African Cup of Nations starts. I'm assuming the Asian, I think, Cup starts this weekend too, right?
9 minutes. The Qatar game is on, and I got to go watch it. Their best player, you know, the best player in the Qatar lineup, very Qatari. His name is Bruno Mendes. Very good.
Wait, I have it as starting tomorrow with the Ivory Coast game.
No, that's the African Cup of Nations.
Oh, the African Cup.
But the
Okay,
Asian
what is
Cup, Qatar versus Lebanon starts in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So are you? I mean, I'm assuming you're following these, right? And I'm rooting hard for someone on either one.
Well, in the Asian Cup, I always root for Qatar. I love their football. I love the Aspire Academy that produced all these guys. And in Africa,
produced Mendes.
Well, actually, he's been living there his whole life, and he started playing for Menace and Pedro Lopez, but that's a whole different ballgame. Anyways, Qatar's highest ever goal scorer is from Uruguay. He just moved there when he was 29. That's a whole different ballgame. Anyway, that's so weird.
I always felt so Qatarian
Qatari today. You know, in Infantino before the World Cup. Today, I am Qatari. Okay, welcome to the team. In the African Cup of Nations, I will kill for Egypt to win, but dude, Morocco. That team is just stacked. Algeria, stacked. I want Egypt to win it, but bro, Morocco and Algeria, oh my God. They look good. So it's going to be good.
I'll probably catch a few games. How about you there, John? Are you following this?
Oh, no, I haven't really followed. I'm just hoping that Salah comes back unscathed and full of confidence. That's why I'm pulling for Egypt. Because a Salah that just won the AFCON is just going to be full of confidence, and he's just going to tear shit up when he comes back.
And if the Salah loses AFCON again to Sadio Mane, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
Do you guys remember thing, right? if that kind of led to a decrease in form back then? Because I can't recall.
It led to awkwardness for Sadio because he wasn't even welcomed back with a cake, and he was not happy at all. And remember, his form went down. Everybody's like, hey, Sadio sucks. And then we played him a cop, and they're like, hey, he's back. So, yeah, we'll see.
Hey, Brian putting on a bet here. Like, he'll eat 6 donuts with Mecca.
Dude, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught yesterday's show, but if you did not, it is available, obviously, on our YouTube channel, as well as on, like, Facebook and everything like that. This was just came up casually in our post-match about the 6 donuts, because I think somebody called Mecca 6, and I made the joke that 6 donuts is a snack for him. So we kind of joked and challenged them. I was just giving him shit that as I wrapped up the show, I said something like, tune in tomorrow night, he'll knock out 6 donuts. And you know what? That's what we do on this damn channel, damn it. We deliver what we promise. So last night's show, he did knock out 6 donuts on air within like 7 minutes or so. Nobody has heard from him yet. So please, if you live
Brian,
nearby him,
from Mecca?
we have not heard from Mecca or the donut store. So
I will take you on the bet that Thiago scores again, or you eat 6 donuts. And if he doesn't, I'll eat 8 donuts. That's how confident
Thiago scores again. What kind of a shit bet is that?
He just wrote that. He goes, I'll eat 6 donuts if Thiago ever scores again for
Liverpool. Wait. He did say that. 6 donuts with Mecca.
That's why
Thiago scores again for Liverpool.
By myself. Because that's
I'm clipping this right here for you, John. This is a promise made. We deliver over here, Brian, so you better deliver on your ends, which, the good thing is you have Mecca on that show, who always has like a box of dozens sitting around, so it should not be hard to find 6 donuts.
I never just grab them. Full size or mini. I'm just putting that out there. I never specified.
Yeah, don't be getting those munchkins either. We want like regular full-size donuts over here. Actually, I think Mecca got out of his way to get the larger ones. Like, just give me the biggest ones you got. But yes, if you want to watch Mecca eat donuts, I don't know why you would, but why not? Tune in last time.
Might as well.
ASMR.
Yeah, no games. It's a competitive spirit. Just go ahead and watch that, I guess. But no games. But we might, if everything lines up, either Saturday or Sunday. We are going to start our live watch-alongs for non-Liverpool games, so we can shoot the shit at the same time and not kill each other on who should be subbed and stuff like that. So tune in for that. Otherwise, Monday morning, first thing over here with the Polish Prince, I will be back. You guys have like an excellent weekend. As always, thank you for following.
Let me just say, Tim, before we go, we need to have a watch along the first game Thiago comes back. We need to.
I will be.
If I'm still alive, I try to schedule something.
Just a quick thing. If you need Liverpool gear, AnfieldShop.com.
Anfield
off right now. This is a good time to buy. Get anything that you need. Show them some love. Show them some support, because they've always been there for us, and it's now our time to be there for them. Code 50 gets you 50% off site-wide at AnfieldShop.com. So if you need some gear, hats, jackets, it's cold out there. They got some really nice coats. A to Z Liverpool product, AnfieldShop.com. Code 50 gets you 50% off your purchase.
Yes, good shout, because yeah, they've been a huge supporter of us throughout, especially like fundraiser and stuff like that last year. We keep mentioning them on our social media, so yeah, good call. Go ahead and check them out. I think 48 hours, so I think today and tomorrow. I think tomorrow was the last day, right? So yeah, just especially for jackets, 50% can't go wrong, right? And I might need a freaking jacket as I'm shoveling shortly over here. I usually wait till the disaster ends before I go out there and see what I have to battle against.
Wait till my neighbors fall down and complain. Screw it.
She's like, "Do you hear that moaning, honey?" I don't know.
It's nothing.
That's just gin.
Yeah, it's probably nothing.
Probably nothing. Turn the TV on a bit higher and keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, as always, thanks a lot to always joining us. Give us a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Tell a friend, grab them by the ear. Don't be reckless. Make sure they're following us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.